Welcome to the Widnes Rugby Union Club YouTube channel. If you're a rugby league supporter, don't switch off just yet. There will be something of interest to you. We're halfway through our Diamond Jubilee season. Last year produced our third book and our first film telling the story of the club. We won 3 trophies. The Lancashire Trophy was the last one in 2012. Prior to that, the club had won it in 1988, which was the first year it was competed for as the Lancashire Trophy. We weren't too sure of the story behind it, although there were rumours at the time. In 2019, we won it for the third time. One of 3 trophies we won. There were celebrations all round. Then we received a phone call from the Warrington Wolves Heritage Society. Did we know the background to the trophy? Or as it said in an 1886 newspaper article, what all the trouble is about in West Lancashire.
Final was at Preston. We played De La Salle. Wasn't a particularly memorable game. We didn't really play very well, but we did win. For which I think if you can play forward and still win, it's good to decide. Didn't realise the history of the cup. First one by Warrington, was it? 100 nice trophy. Didn't know the history at all of the cup.
But it's a nice cup. It's nice that it stays here.
Who's better looking?
Go behind on the raised bit, Jim.
Yes, you.
If it had been this big, would I have got twice as much money?
The Cricketer's Arms, approached by Mr Loughnane to ask me could I provide a St Helens legend to come along for this photo shoot. I duly delivered Mr Sculthorpe, fit as a butcher's dog, fit as anybody else, or fitter than anybody else in here, and very happy to devote his time to this little event that we've organised today.
Yeah, well, I wrote a couple of years ago Saints the Final Countdown, which was covering every final Saints had contested since the birth of rugby league. So there were 79 finals and 2 replays, and I thought, job's done, that's fine, I've covered everything. I had to bring out a supplement in 2019 because of course Saints were in both the major finals, and then John contacted me about this trophy here, which I believe Saints won in pre-rugby league days as a rugby union club, as all clubs were in 1894 when they won it. And it's the Lancashire Second Division, and apparently, according to Alex Service, the Saints historian, this one cost 70 guineas and this one was rather less, so the more expensive trophy. A few people have told me that might be down to it being made in Liverpool and the county got ripped off, but I don't know if that's true or not.
This trophy here has been used for a couple of competitions pre-breakaway. So 1871 the Football Association started the FA Cup, and in 1877 the Yorkshire rugby clubs started playing for their own competition as well, the Yorkshire Cup. Both were a big success and kind of helped the clubs in those areas grow. The Lancashire Rugby Union were quite averse to having a competition though, and didn't want to kind of encourage the increased violence was one of the perceptions that kind of came with those games, and didn't want to kind of push the sport down that kind of a route. Some of the clubs were very keen to have a competition though, having seen how it helped clubs in other areas. So in 1885 there was a sub-union formed, the West Lancashire Rugby Union, who were made up of some of the names that we know quite well now in rugby league circles. So clubs like Wigan, St Helens, Warrington, Runcorn, Lee were all members of the West Lancashire Union, and they actually started their own cup competition. So 1886 was the start of playing for this trophy here, which Warrington were the first winners of, beating Aspel in the final. by a drop goal under a slightly different point scoring system than what we have now. And then for a few years the competition kind of carried on as a cup. But then shortly afterwards, 1889, they started playing for it as a league. So having seen how association football had kind of grown with the birth of the Football League in 1888, the West Lancashire rugby clubs wanted to do something similar. So 1889 they actually started playing for this as a league competition, which went on for a few years, until in 1892 there was a Lancashire-wide league that was finally formed. The following season they actually added a second division to it, and this cup was then given to the Lancashire Rugby Union by the West Lancashire Union to be played for as the second division trophy. The first winners of that, as Ken said, were St Helens, so they actually won that as a second division competition, which then promoted them to the top division. This carried on being played for a few years after that, and obviously there was the breakaway in 1895, which meant that most of the major clubs in Lancashire moved across to the Northern Union. So that diluted the quality of the competition and the quality of the clubs that were playing for what still was a second division trophy. So that carried on for another season or so post breakaway. But then the Lancashire Union were quite keen to kind of wrap up the competition side of things. They saw that as more for those commercial clubs who'd moved across to the Northern Union. So they actually ceased all of the competitions at that point, which is what led to this being stuck away in a bank vault, we believe, which is part of another bit of the tale, really.
Right, Dave. This year, when we won the Lancashire Trophy, we were presented with this. We were told the reason was that was too fragile to be given to the players on the day. So they were given this trophy, which allegedly was an under-12s trophy, and presented to the players on the day.
Right, yeah.
It was a week later we actually got that, which was one of the 3 cups we won this year.
Yeah, well, I can understand that, because over the years of my involvement, this little man here has very often disappeared because he's been broken off. Because you can see how.
Yeah, you can see.
In actual fact, if I got the treasurer of the county to dig the bills out, you'd probably find that repairing the top and the lid cost more than the original trophy cost when it was first made. Tell about the trophy really is that it was found along with the Lancashire Cup in a bank vault, and in fact nobody knew it was there, or nobody knew why it was there. The bank, and I can't remember the town, but it was the town centre redevelopment. The bank was being closed. The 2 trophies were found alongside with other county memorabilia, and we were asked, what do we want to do with it? So they then went to, I think it was to the NatWest in Knutsford, because the bank manager there was our treasurer at the time. So they went into their bank vault while it was discussed what we would do with, how would they play for it. This was in the 1960s. And what the problem was, there were a lot of old stages around the time, and so there's a long debate about the problems that have been caused with the breakaway, the Northern Union, was producing league football and cup football. And if you read the history of Lancashire, there were interesting stories about police being called, etc., to separate fighting spectators. This is in the 1870s,
Well, I played for this trophy, oddly enough, in 1998. No, not 86. Not 86. Hey, remember, you're the same age as me, so yeah, 98. I've got to be honest, we didn't know we were playing for what we were playing for and the history of it. And I would have played a couple of years earlier, but I've been ill and missed the game. That time we did win it, and then we won it again at Lee several times later on. But I mean, what a fantastic trophy it is, and to think that this one costs more than that, simply because it was made by Scousers, of course, and the other one's from Bradford, cheap labour in Bradford, as we well know.
Well, we won that this year, but we're presented with that because that was too fragile to give the players on the day.
You did very well to get it. How did you get it then? Did you?
That arrived a week later.
You did well to get that.
Yeah,
I've got to say, I never saw
time
that
in a few
at
years
League,
that
I'll be honest. Yeah. But I mean, it's a fantastic trophy.
Well, that was the third of 3 trophies we won this year. We won the League Cup.
I wouldn't have been happy being given that one though, because you could put a lot more pints in that, can't you?
There wasn't much drinking done after that one. But yeah, third of 3 trophies that the lads won this year. It's a very good year.
Good season.
Very good.
You're going to do the same this season?
Don't know. We went through 2019 unbeaten, so that was an achievement in itself.
It is.
And we've got to just carry on going. The lads are doing well. Coaches are doing well with them. Just see what this season brings.
This is the trophy we won. It was the first trophy the club had won in 10 years. It was the, if you like, the plate final of the Lancashire Cup. So the Lancashire Cup in rugby union was a big competition, and the senior clubs, Waterloo and these people, Liverpool, who were a little bit more established than the Wids at that time, because the Wids was all local lads basically forming the team. So if you got knocked out of the Lancashire Cup in the earlier rounds, you played in the under competition, if you like, which was this one. Winning the first trophy in the club for 10 years, so it was a big deal for me.
Well, obviously it's great to hear the story, certainly about this one. Being the first trophy that obviously both clubs, Warrington and Saints, won, and when Warrington won it, it was a knockout competition, and then Saints won it, and it was kind of a league format league trophy, which obviously at the moment both clubs hold. Obviously you've got that at Warrington, and we've got the Super League, so it's great how it's come around. But to hear the history of this trophy and how it all started, and then for it to go missing and then reappear. It's great to hear.
It's good to have it back in the game, really. But this is one that I'm more familiar with. It's only been familiar with this one, being the older guy. But this is something that you dream of playing for when you're a kid, and luckily enough, I got the chance to do that and win it on a few occasions. But they both hold great history and heritage, and it's great to be part of both.
Right, well, 1995 I found myself allowed back in the club. At that stage I was working in the juniors. My kids were playing here. Basically, I wanted my kids to come and play rugby union for the simple reason there's always 4 or 5 teams in a rugby union club, and if you're not the best player, it don't matter, there's a place for you. And even then, schools rugby league, very, very competitive, and I just didn't, going to play myself, I didn't want them judged by what I might have achieved. This was the place for them to come, to let them find their own level. And both my kids played here for 10, 15 years and loved every minute of it.
Yeah, no, it's obviously it's amazing. Like obviously, 95, 96 is when Super League come in, and Rugby League went full time. Obviously, Rugby Union was still part time then, and I think the games certainly come closer together. There was a lot of changeovers. Certainly, players coming from Rugby Union to Rugby League. I got the opportunity to play with the great Jonathan Davis. When I come through as a kid at Warrington, and then. You go on to play in these finals. I was fortunate to play in 4 Challenge Cup finals, and 3 of them. But obviously, when they're redoing the old Wembley, 3 Rugby Union stadiums: Twickenham in 2001, Mirrorfield in 2002, and then the Millennium Stadium in 2004. So it just shows how much the games come together. Yeah. And obviously now there's a massive league influence in Rugby Union as well.
To be really honest with you, I don't know a very lot about Rugby Union. To be fair. It's something that I was never kind of like interested in. The only time that I really started watching it was probably when Sam Burgess signed and played for England in that World Cup. And that was one of the first games I'd actually. I can remember Joe Malone, is it? I can remember him because I had a rugby.
You could have said Joe Malone then, weren't you? He was candles.
I can remember because I used to have a computer game with him when I was a kid, but yeah, like Scully says, it does seem to be coming closer together, and you can see a lot of. Well, I can see a lot of rugby league traits in rugby union now, and with the way that they want to play. And after watching it over the last, say, couple of years, I can see rugby league players doing well in a rugby union game. A lot of rugby league coaches are going over, and
Warrington were one of the first to take advantage of bringing rugby union players up, because Alex Murphy got a relationship going with Aberravon, and Mike Nicholas came up, a guy named Reynolds came up, Dennis Curlin came up, Scrum half, I can't remember Scrum half's name, but
so was Mike Nicholas rugby union?
Yeah.
There was a lot though when I come through. Obviously Jiffy was there, Alan Bateman, Kevin Ellis.
That was it. Alan Bateman came.
There's a number. Roland Phillips. Big Welsh contingent who'd all come from rugby union.
It's just like they were waiting for the walkway between the two games to be lifted, and some of them came to rugby league, had some of the best years in rugby league, and still did a job back in rugby union. Lots went back. Jiffy went back, didn't he?
Yeah.
So it's just, I would agree that it's improved both games, really. I think it's improved both games, and rugby union has become a better game for professionalism, because the game now, much different when I played it, but the game now, they keep the ball on the park as much as possible. All teams, it's like 15-man rugby, and I think that's what professionalism and a little bit of rugby league influence has done, and obviously the Kiwis and that, their influence.
I get a little bit when I'm watching it. When I watch, especially the World Cup, I get a little bit frustrated because I see it from a rugby league point of view, and the players that they could do, I think would really would work in rugby union, but they just seem to play for the penalties, and it's all about the position on the field and working for that 3 points sometimes, and which is probably the way they do it. But from my point of view, I see a different side of it, where I think some of our players, what we do, would really work in rugby union.
But both games are like anything else. Played well, fantastic games, aren't they? And some teams have a more of an approach like yours, because like everything, it's winning. You've got to win, and a lot of it is to do with just getting a result. But when both games are played well, there's no better games to watch.